Welcome back to another episode of Harvesting Jackson's Best, powered by Harvest Solar. If you're new here, this is a weekly segment on WKHM to highlight the incredible people and businesses that make up the foundation of our great community. I'm your host, Jennifer Gallant from Harvest Solar, joined today with Jeff Stutzman, owner, designer, and principal craftsman from Virtue Drums. Welcome.
Hey there. Thanks so much. I'm grateful for you guys having me here.
Yeah, we're so happy. I mean, what a cool niche business to have in Jackson. We were just talking just a moment ago about how little drum stores are available across the country,
right,
which is crazy.
Yeah, yep. And we've got a good one here. So
absolutely. So let's dive in a little bit. Let's talk about who you are and what you do.
Awesome. Appreciate that. Well, yeah, kind of broad overview. There's kind of three main components to what we do. One is sort of the retail store side. So whether that's just resupply stuff for anything related to drums, cymbals, drum sets, or like a bell kit for somebody in beginning band, up through like pro level drum gear. So anything and everything drums we have at the retail store that's open to the public. And then we also do extensive repair work. That is, kind of a unique thing. A lot of times music stores just want to sell you new stuff, and we're happy to work on what you already have and improve it and continue servicing it for you. And then the last component is we build custom drums. So that's exceptionally uncommon to have a place that will literally build something from the ground up to your specifications and to meet your needs. So
wow, how cool. And I'm sure musicians out there and artists love that, because like if I can go somewhere and have something built to my specific needs instead of just looking for, your basic sets or whatever it may be, right, that's awesome.
Yeah, for sure. Yep. And, that there's different needs in each category, and so we're happy to service any and all those. It's not that, obviously our passion and where we started with things was building the best drums that you can get, and that's what we offer in that end of things. But we also, are happy to service the needs of somebody just starting out and meet those needs as well. So
yeah, nice. What a cool local shop. So how did you get into this? You have a background in music. Obviously, if you have a love for it, this would make sense.
Right. Yeah, I grew up, I love music all my life, listening to music, playing music. I've been a drummer for the last 27 years or so.
Wow.
So, yeah, it all originates kind of from that, being a drummer. My background and my education is in sound engineering. So I used to do live sound and recording studio type work, and inevitably I was the drummer on staff, so if somebody came with a drum kit, I was the one who was going to try to make it sound good.
Yeah.
And so enough people brought in enough drum kits that didn't sound great that it got to the point where there's got to be a better way to do this. And,
yeah.
So while I can make most any drum sound good with what's there on the spot, it's a whole lot better if we start with something that's sort of got some better quality baked into it from the get-go. So
absolutely.
And so then also sort of that coming from a sound engineering background, that's the audio sort of like sound quality and the way an instrument responds is all very important to me. While we like to think we make beautiful instruments, a lot of companies focus mostly just on the aesthetic, and well, yeah, sure, we'll do that too, but the stuff going on under the hood and the way it plays for the musician is really my primary focus.
Yeah. I mean, what a cool... You have the sound engineering background, and a huge thing with sounds and instruments, especially in so many different venues and areas, like whether you're in a recording studio or you're playing live, they sound different in different scenarios. And
right.
Just having that experience and knowledge of basically the ins and outs of the instrument itself, and having the background of, okay, I know this is what needs to be fixed. Like that's fascinating.
That's cool. Thank you. Appreciate that. Yeah.
Very cool. So let's dive into, you have the retail store, then you do repairs. What does it look like? And you also build custom sets. What does that process look like? I'm coming to you, I'm like, I've always wanted a custom set. I've just kind of had the basic drum sets. It's something I have money set aside for. It's like a goal of mine. What would that process look like?
Yeah, so I really like to start with the conversation is really the best place to start, and tell me what music you're playing, what you've liked about your existing gear, drums, and what you haven't liked. And so we can kind of start from that place of what do you like, what do you want it to do. And then I also have a pretty wide variety of drums in the store, so you can also buy my drums just off the shelf. I have stuff that's ready-made, and sometimes that's easier to play a drum in front of you and say, oh, that's it. I don't need you to build something else. And sometimes those are just conversation starter for, I like this, but I'd like that to be a little different. And so it gives us kind of that launch pad. Sometimes it's the final solution. Sometimes we use that as sort of a design or components of that we're going to integrate into the right instrument for you. But yeah, just really understanding how you're going to use it, where you're going to play it, what type of music you perform. All those things will help me sort of steer the conversation and ultimately the end result into something that works well for you.
Wow. That's so cool. It's so cool that we have something like this in Jackson. You know, it seems like this would be in Ann Arbor or Grand Rapids or if it's in Michigan at all.
Right,
you know, you have to travel so far for something this special and unique.
Right. Yeah, and that's actually one of the main things. I mean, people assume sometimes that maybe this exists in Ann Arbor or Lansing, but it does not. I get people that drive from at least a couple-hour radius, anywhere from the west side of the state to down into Ohio, Indiana. I have people come from as far as like Windsor and Toronto in Canada for my services, for my drums, for repair work. So it's kind of a unique thing that we happen to have this here in Jackson, and so don't take it for granted, I guess, that everybody has this, because they really don't. And it's kind of a declining, even just having a drum store is pretty uncommon. So, yeah.
Yeah. I mean, we had a guitar store, I feel like, for a long time, and that's gone now.
Right,
and
right.
Like you said, it is declining, and I think it speaks a lot on you and your business that people are traveling so far. And, I mean, go check out the website, because virtuedrums.com, your reviews speak for themselves. You know, these people they're coming from across the country, and they have nothing but good things to say. And, you know, they're like, where have you been all my life? My life has changed now that I've got drums from Virtue Drums. Right. You know, that's awesome. That's so cool.
Appreciate it.
We're so happy to have you. That's why you're here on Harps and Jackson's Best.
Awesome. Thank you.
One of the best. So what are your hours of operation?
So we have 4 days each week that we're open with, kind of like open public hours, and then we also do meet people by appointment outside that. It's literally not a problem to meet outside those hours, because I'm there 6 days a week. So the days I'm not open means I'm working on drums. So if at some point I have to actually build and repair stuff. So we are open Tuesdays from 11 a.m. to 7 p.m., Thursdays and Fridays from 11 to 5, and then Saturdays 10 to 4.
Nice.
So, yeah.
One of the perks also of owning your own business, you get to make your hours.
Right. Yeah.
But also you're working, that's not the only hours you're working. You're working way beyond
pretty much,
that.
Yeah. Yes, yeah.
Very cool. I mean, I know we have a huge music scene here in town, and so what an awesome thing to offer. And then also people that just have a love for music, and they know how to play an instrument, and they find joy in doing that just in their house.
Absolutely. Yep. And actually, just something else that people sometimes assume we're a drum store and that's all we have. As far as instruments, that is all we have pretty much. So we specialize in drums. But if you're a guitarist or play another instrument, need strings, capos, reeds for your saxophone or clarinet, any of that kind of stuff, we do have you covered. You know, we want to serve our local community, and don't have to drive to a neighboring community or buy stuff online. We got you covered for resupply kind of stuff as well. So
nice. And that's like a nice thing to know and have in your back pocket, because you may know exactly what you need to order online, but it's so nice to just go to the store and have a professional that you can speak with, and maybe you've just been using the same thing over and over, and there's actually a better option. Right.
Yeah. Yep. So we're happy to help in that way.
Well, when I was exploring your website earlier, you have like what's called a Virtue Drum Series, and you have all these different types. And is that what you base your building a custom drum set on, or explain that a little bit?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah, so within Virtue Drums, I only have one speed in terms of I only build world-class drums. I don't know how to do a worse job today. So we don't have like a budget line. Our budget option is to work with what you have and repair things and improve the existing things. So that actually is kind of one of our series. Each of our series is named after a different Virtue. So our Grace series is basically work with what you got, another brand of drums, and we can modify those and make them sound and perform different. And then we've got different series other than that are based basically on the shell type is what the name comes from. So, beyond just wood or metal drums, there's also sort of nuances within those. So within wood drums, there's our Humility series, our plywood drums, which is the majority of drums that are built today are plywood. So we certainly offer those. There's also solid wood options, so stave and steam bent are two construction techniques that we do. Again, just trying to get to the right solution for the drummer and the way they're going to use it, and that it responds the way that they need. So Honesty is our stave series, and then Perseverance is our steam bent drums. And then we've got Diligence is anything made of a metal shell. Unity is another wood type that's kind of a bricklaying technique. And I'm surely missing some there, but they're all kind of You can certainly check out the website with more details, and obviously, most importantly, have a conversation and find the right solution for you. But that was really coming into when I started Virtue Drums. I mean, I started as a drum builder, not as a retail store. The retail store has been going about 3 years now, but originally I just had a workshop and built drums in a workshop here in Jackson. And so when I started Virtue, I knew there's lots of good drums out there, and each shell type has different aspects that are useful or good. It's not that one's better or worse. What's hard is to read through all the marketing of different companies. Of course, whatever they make is the best today, and so it's very difficult to discern what do I actually need. And so I don't actually care which drum we end up building for you. My interest is it the right drum for you? So to me, that's the best approach, to just say, I understand the nuances of how to build the right drum. Have a conversation with me, what you want it to do, how you're going to play it, what music you play, and we'll make sure we end up with the right solution. And so that was really the goal. There's lots of great small drum builders, but usually they focus on just one of those shell types, which is awesome. It's not to knock those. It's just my approach was different in the sense that I sort of identified that out the gate and knew that I wanted to be able to offer the different nuances and shell types that existed. Yeah,
and it opens you up to so many more types of music and people and potential clients and things like that. Just having that experience and knowledge of, I can literally customize this to exactly what you're looking for.
For sure.
So you keep speaking on what type of music you play. Does that matter? Does that change what you do? When you're
it does to an extent. I mean, I alluded to earlier, I can make most any drum sound pretty good today, whether or not it holds that tuning and continues to perform that way. So could I make any drum work for you in any setting? Yeah, to some extent, but would it be ideal? No. And so if you're building something custom, obviously we want to end up with something that just feels natural and performs the way you need it to, doesn't need a lot of extra changes or dampen it a bunch or do things to it to modify it, rather than just it's the right drum, I play it and that's what I wanted. So whether that's dimensions or the shell type, all those things kind of play into how it sounds and reacts to the drummer, how hard you play, all those things, whether you play with brushes or sticks or how heavy the sticks are, all those things cause it to respond different. So those are all things that, when I keep alluding to that sort of let's have a conversation about the right instrument for you.
Yeah.
Those are the things I want to find out in that conversation is what are you playing and how are you playing it? And
that's fascinating. I'm learning so much.
Awesome. Do you play an instrument?
I did play acoustic guitar in high school, but it was for a class, and I started to get pretty good and I was feeling it, and then I just stopped, and now I'm sure I could pick it back up and slowly regain the knowledge, but drums, I've always been fascinated with drums. Nice. It's so cool. That's usually the coolest guy in the band who plays the drums, I feel like.
Of course, yeah, right?
They're so cool back there. I have kind of a fun question for you. What has been the most memorable or fun set that you've built, and what was so cool about it or different?
Let's see.
You're like,
I've done some cool. Yeah, they're all cool. They're all cool.
Awesome. What are you talking
right,
about?
I know. Yeah, they're all... let me think about that. Yeah. There's one kit in particular, I guess it was a stave drum set that we built that was made of walnut. And so, but very much, and I do a lot of walnut actually for snare drums and drum sets that I build, which is great. The thing I like to use is actually much harder to get the right wood to make, which is a calico walnut. So a walnut tree has sort of a dark colored wood in the center and the heartwood that we normally think of as walnut, but there's actually that sapwood that's kind of a lighter yellowy color. So if you can get just the right cut in this instance for this kit, it was a plywood kit. And so, if you can, when the machine is actually shearing off the veneer, it's the transition from that outer sapwood into that heartwood. And if you can get the right cut, and it just happens to be kind of this perfect half and half of light and dark. So it looks really beautiful. There's a cool local drummer in Ann Arbor that owns that kit and plays it in several different bands, and that's a really cool kit. Yeah,
very cool. Let's talk a little bit about repairs, because I'm sure that is a necessity.
Yeah,
is repairs.
Yep.
What does that process look like? How can we contact you? What are you looking for? Just break down what goes into a repair. I'm sure, obviously, if somebody's bringing their drums or their kit to you, they have an idea of what might be wrong.
Right.
They're just telling you, hey, this is what problem I'm having.
Yep.
And
yeah, so starting with that conversation of, sometimes it's something's wrong, not getting the sound you're after. Sometimes it's just truly, hey, this is broke and I can tell it needs to be fixed. And other times it's more nuanced than that. It's more an improvement of what's there. It's not necessarily like physically broken. It's just doesn't respond or play the way you want it to. So reaching out to me to start, basically, just to describe that situation, what's going on with it. Or another common thing is just tuning. Just some people struggle to tune a drum, and so it's just like I can't get the right sound out of it. So sometimes it's simple as just working with what you have already. And other times it's, actually physically repairing something. Then there's also sort of cosmetic changes that we can do. My passion is obviously sort of the sound side of things and improving that sonic aspect. So reaching out to me, you can jump on our website for all of our contact info, virtuedrums.com. Or you can just give me a call, 517-917-5444. And I'd be happy to answer any questions and just start that conversation with you.
Very cool. So I have to ask, after you fix or build these amazing, beautiful kits, are you testing them out? Are you testing them out?
Personally, do I get to play them? A little bit, not as much as, sometimes people say like, oh, you own a drum store, it must be great. You're just playing drums all day. Actually, there's a lot of work that goes into it, and I don't have time for that. But
yes.
I certainly am, playing them to the extent of sort of ensuring that they perform the way I intend them to. And so, yeah, I do get to see and play and modify a lot of drums. So that's definitely fun. And I, as I go, always learning new aspects and new angles to that. So yeah, that's cool. Exciting and fun.
Do you think down the road when, you're expanding, because I just can't see this, I can't see this doing anything but grow and becoming more of a thing, because what was the stat? You said there was only about 60 stores like this in the whole entire...
last I checked for stores that are just drums, kind of musical instrument stores that specialize in drums only. I mean, a lot of times there's a guitar store with some drums in the back, but that's not, I'm talking to real drummers here who, actually want a store just for them, not, we got some sticks in the back.
Absolutely.
So for stores that are truly just drums only, in the country, last I checked, it's somewhere around 60 that still exist. So yeah, not common.
You are special. You're one of. Wow, that's amazing. That's so cool. Do you think down the road you would ever be open to doing lessons?
I'm certainly open to that, and I did actually used to give lessons before I had the retail store. Just out of a workshop space in my garage, and then I also taught at a local music school. With how busy I am with everything else, I'm kind of tapped out on time personally. Yeah. And then at the shop, because, we do the cool thing of actually doing on-site repair and building, all the back of the store is workshop space. So that means I kind of don't have the space right now, unfortunately. But long-term, I'm absolutely want to offer that service and be able to, meet our community need that way.
Yeah,
I do, that said, if you got questions, ask me, stop in and ask. I know, the drummers in the area and the places that you can get lessons. So I'm happy to provide that as a resource of where people can go for lessons, and connect people with, private lessons or places like the JSO downtown that do offer percussion and drum set lessons. So
very cool. Wow. I'm so excited you're here, because it's this. I say this a lot on the show, is I love doing this because there's so many cool businesses in town that I didn't even know existed.
Yeah.
And it's like, wow, we have this here. How cool.
That's awesome.
Let's talk a little bit. You said you've been in business for about 3 years at the retail location.
Right. Yep.
That's 2020.
Yeah.
Let's talk a little bit about how
did
that work out? What was that like for you, opening up a business, a storefront, a brick and mortar during COVID?
That was certainly a challenge, as anyone might expect. We were literally slated to open March of 2020, which would have been the literal worst moment in the history to open anything retail, much less a specialty boutique drum shop. Anyway, so the location we're at, the landlord is really cool and sort of held off on the lease for 6 months for us, so we didn't open until September of that year.
Nice.
So that helped a little bit, got us through those first 6 months in terms of, couldn't have even really been open. But it certainly is a challenge. I mean, starting anything retail, anything new, is its own challenge, and doing it in that time frame was certainly not ideal. And trying to convince people to come from, because we do serve, very much are passionate about serving Jackson, but we also, because what we do is so specialized, serve a much wider market. We didn't really have the opportunity to host events or things that would say, hey, come from Ann Arbor or Lansing and check this out. And that's always the case. I mean, once somebody comes and see what it is, they realize, oh, wow, this is here. But sort of you have to get them over the hurdle of initially coming. So, yeah, that certainly made a bit of a challenge to be able to, any in-person stuff kind of being off the table. And
for the foreseeable future.
It was a difficult moment.
And you,
that's all right.
You live
we did
to
it.
tell the story.
That's right. We're here.
Thriving here. That's
Appreciate
awesome.
It. Yeah, absolutely.
And you have to, like I said, virtuedrums.com. Get on the website, and you have cool videos up there. You guys are on YouTube.
Cool.
You're on
Yep,
YouTube.
yep,
You're on Instagram and Facebook. Follow Virtue Drums. You can stay up to date on what's going on and things like that. If there's any events coming up, if you end up opening the shop for an event.
Yep.
I did write down one. You have so many good reviews on there, but one of them I wrote down. I want to share it with everyone because, to me, it just jumped out to me, and I'm like, okay, I want to share this if that's okay.
Cool, absolutely, thank you.
Okay, it says, one of your customers, I wish everyone did business like Jeff and those at Virtue Drums, professional and attentive to the finest details. Their drums are beautiful, well constructed, and sound and play fantastic. Incredible shipping protection, too. You won't be disappointed. And, I mean, all of your reviews are like that. And like you said, you're like, I don't know how to do anything other than making something world-class.
That's the goal, yeah.
It's so awesome, and it speaks for itself. And when you have such a quality product and you genuinely care about giving your client and customer exactly what they want, they're then going to go tell their friends, and then you're building your network, and you're not, you're just doing what you do.
Sure. Yeah, for me, that's, kind of the only thing I know how to do.
I don't know how to do it any other way.
Yeah, exactly, right.
That's amazing.
But yeah, and that's a difference, too, just in terms of being sort of a small, one-at-a-time craftsman-based workshop, as opposed to being a large commercial factory that's paying people by the hour, which nothing against that. There's lots of industries that make sense, and that obviously keeps costs down, and there's lots of reasons to pursue that model. Just for us and for me personally, that's just not what I'm about, and that's not what I'm after. I'm after building you, and that's what I fix. I mean, those mass-produced drums. It's not that they're all bad. They're just there's some sort of attention to detail that I can add, and so so I'm just that's sort of my approach, and it's not right, wrong, or better. It's just the way I do it. So
I love that. That's awesome. That's so cool. What do you wish that people knew about Virtue Drums and about you that maybe they didn't know? Besides the fact that you're making world-class stuff, because we all know that now.
Yeah, for sure. No, I think the other thing is sometimes people know that part of our story, and that's great. We're, very, happy to serve in that way, but also sometimes they assume then that we don't have things for beginners, or we don't have just simple things like drumsticks and drum heads and just stuff you need. And so I think, for those who are listening, if you've, heard of us and maybe assumed, oh, that's that guy who builds really nice drums. Yes, but I also, have things to meet any need of any level of drummer, and I'm passionate about that. It's not just I have it to have it or to make money. It's. I mean, no one gets into an industry like this because they're making big money. That's not what this is. This is certainly a passion project and something that I want to serve the needs of our community. And so when students need mallets or they need reeds for their clarinet, I don't play the clarinet, but I really care about music, and I really care about our community having a music store that can meet those needs. So those are some of the things I guess I just like to make more awareness of, that, we're here to serve the community. And if there's something we don't have that you need, or that a band director or somebody identifies they need, we're nimble enough to carry that next week, or order that for you right now kind of thing.
Absolutely.
And meet whatever that need is. So.
Very cool. And I feel like you're such a great resource, where it is it doesn't even matter your level.
Exactly.
Music is such a cool thing where, yes, I've been doing it 40 years, but hey, maybe somebody's doing something different that I've never done before. I'm learning. I'm still learning, however long I've been doing it.
For sure.
And you've been in the business, you have a network, like you said, if it's not something you can offer, you can recommend. Right.
Or if there's a better resource, I'm happy to steer you to the right local resource for that. Like I said, with lessons, I mean, it's not just about, do we offer it? It's about how can I help connect you to whatever it is you need to pursue music, because it's, it's such a cool thing to, just as a amateur sort of passion, therapeutic, fun thing, or for people that pursue it as a career and are, super serious with it. Anything and everything in between that is all worthwhile and valid, and we're happy to be here and network with those people.
Yeah, and I'm so glad you brought it up, because that is a great point, is that it doesn't matter your skill level.
Right.
Come talk to Jeff at Virtue Drums. He's got you taken care of. He's the man down there. That's awesome. Very cool. Let's see. What else haven't we talked about? Is there anything you can think of that we haven't talked about?
Let's see. We haven't talked about...
I'm putting you on the
something.
spot.
You put me on the spot. I know. What else?
It's like, oh, now it's your turn. Tell
right.
us.
I think...
Here, while you're thinking,
yeah,
I'm going to make you think of something else.
All right, cool.
What's a fun fact about yourself?
About myself.
Jeff?
Oh, boy.
What's a fun fact about Jeff?
A fun fact about Jeff. Another good one. I wasn't expecting you to ask this one. Jeez.
I should have prepped you. I'm sorry.
Fun fact. I don't know how fun. I don't know. I'll tell you some facts about me. I guess
Yeah.
I'm married. I have a wife,
you.
Bethany, and I have 2 little kids that go to our local schools. They're 8 and 10 years old. So
Nice.
yeah,
Are they into the
getting
music? They
a little
like
bit?
drums?
Yeah, I've got a son that plays trumpet. He's getting pretty serious into doing that. So yeah,
Very cool.
That's cool. And they play, some dabble in some piano and drums. And I've tried to not, push the drums too hard on them. So they'll come around. I can always teach them the drums or whatever. Somebody else can teach them the other instruments for now. And if they ever express an interest,
They're
of
like,
course.
we already know everything about the drums.
Yeah.
Let us try these other instruments.
Right.
But we're probably going to come
Probably
back to the drums because they're
around.
so awesome.
Yeah, I am actually right now. We're building drums with my sons, so they're each building their own snare drum, kind of their own specs and design, and also with my 2 nephews. So 4 kids under 12 in my workshop building drums with me is both awesome and terrifying, but
You are brave.
yeah,
You're
so,
brave for that.
So yeah, we're in the
That's
middle
so
of that.
cool, though.
Yeah,
What a
big
cool
fun.
experience.
Yeah, for
You
sure.
know,
Yep.
how many kids can say, hey, I've just built my own drum
Right.
set, you know?
Yep.
Not
Yeah.
very many, I'm sure.
Right.
Very cool. Wow. So you're local. You're Jackson local.
I am, yeah. So I live right around the corner from the shop. So,
Nice.
I mean, I'm, certainly live in Jackson, serve in Jackson. And that was part of the thing, too. I mean, I could have gotten more traction out the gate if I had put this in another market. It's not that I didn't consider, put it in Ann Arbor, Lansing, somewhere bigger. It's just a matter of if we want cool things here, we got to build them here. And so
Absolutely.
that's, was sort of a passion and intention of mine that I want to see cool things be here in Jackson. And so rather than just take the easy route out and get more traction out the gate, it's a little slower to convince those people to come here. They're not used to coming here, but that's been sort of the intent. And it's really cool when people do drive in from out of town. I can tell them about other local events that happen to be going on today, or you should go get lunch here at this, restaurant downtown or whatever. So just, sort of continuing that trend. There's lots of great businesses in town that are all giving people good reasons to come to Jackson. And, maybe historically hasn't always been thought of that way, but there's amazing stuff going on. And so I'm really happy to just be our small part of that, and the customers that come to see us to be able to play a part in steering them that direction. So,
Absolutely.
yeah.
And even within the last 5 years,
Yeah.
that's changed. I
Right.
feel like people think of Jackson and they think it's scary, and they think of the prison,
Right.
and they think
For
of
sure,
these
I've heard that,
things.
yeah. Yep.
That's what they associate Jackson
Right.
with. And then, we've got people like Jeff here that is doing something amazing and has an awesome storefront for such a niche product, such
Yep.
a niche thing. And there's so many other amazing people just like you that are doing, just opened up a storefront in the last 3 years,
Right.
going through the same thing of going
sure.
through COVID and all
Right.
this stuff and coming out on top. And I'm just so thankful. Thank you so much
cool.
for taking
Yeah.
your passion and bringing it to life, and not just, you could have easily just stayed doing what you were doing,
Right.
and a lot of people do that, and that's totally awesome. That's
Right.
awesome. But it's so cool that you were like, I've never opened a business. You know, I can't say that I've ever done it, but I don't think it's easy.
No, it's not. So it's not for the faint of heart, and not straightforward and easy. But if it's something you're passionate about, it's worth pursuing. Yeah,
absolutely. And it's awesome to see so many people doing it, and it gives hope. It's like, okay, I have a passion for something. Maybe I can go bring it to life too. You know?
Absolutely.
You're doing great things. You're bringing hope to us.
Aw.
You're bringing.
Well, that's
bringing,
awesome.
You know, a name to Jackson too.
Yeah, and I'm happy to play my small part of that, and it's a good deal. Yep.
So awesome. Very cool. Well, thank you so much. I'm just so happy.
Thank you. Appreciate it.
Yes, and I'm gonna keep tabs on you.
All right.
You know, if I ever dabble in the drums,
there you go. You should take it up. You know, if you want to.
I would love it, and I think my kids would.
Yeah.
I've got a 7-year-old and a 2-year-old, and I think they would go crazy for it.
Yeah. Well, we got, something for any kids starting out or anybody. So if and when anybody's looking for that, yep.
Nice. I need like a soundproof room.
There you go. That might. Well, there's some quieter options. We can help with that too.
Oh, that's awesome. Well, is there anything we can leave them with today? Is there anything you want to mention before we go?
I think that I'm grateful to be here, and thank you so much for having me. I think we've covered anything
Yeah, absolutely.
That's great. Appreciate it.
If you have any questions, reach out to Jeff. Phone number again, that's 517-917-5444. That's easy enough to remember.
Yeah.
Or virtuedrums.com. Really, you can just Google Virtue Drums.
You'll find us. Yep.
It's the first thing that pops up.
For sure.
And we're here with Jeff again. And this wraps up another episode of Harvesting Jackson's Best. Thank you to our listeners, and thank you again so much, Jeff, for joining us today.
Thank you.
Yes, you guys have a great day, and we will see you next week.